we've got Tubi fans out there that keep coming back for more, and every month that number goes up. The other thing to say about our audience is they skew quite young. Over half of our viewers are Gen Z and millennials, 65% of our audience are under the age of 44. So, I know that's a strong demographic for us.
Honestly, you're the only ones with, in the US, I think you have like over 200K assets amongst films and TV series. I mean, that's insane. Like, there's so much content right now, and we're spending so much time looking. And so I really wonder what's that secret recipe you're talking about. Welcome everyone to another interview with the Streaming Made Easy. Today, I'm delighted to have Ross Appleton from Tubi to talk about Tubi in the UK. Ross, welcome.
Thanks, Marion. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So where am I finding you today? Where are you?
I am in San Francisco. It's 8 in the morning here. We've been here all week on a kind of off-site with all the Tubi leadership team, talking about the year ahead, which has been great to get everyone together from the different regions and different offices. It's been really energizing.
And so you guys turned one a couple of days ago, early July, I think?
That's right. Our first birthday, 2nd of July, I believe it was. So yeah, we're still babies, really, or maybe moving into infancy. But yeah, 12 months in the UK, and it's been we're really pleased with how we've gone in this first year and the foundations we've built to carry forward into the second year.
So I don't know if you were there prior to the launch. Perhaps you were. When it was time to say, because I was at Roku way back, and you guys were supposed to launch. I remember having chats with some of you guys because I was keen to have the UK version of Tubi on Roku in the UK, and then COVID hit and many things happened. As you were gearing up to launch in that market, what was the few things that you guys had in mind and wanted to achieve, and where are you at now a year in?
Yeah, well, I wasn't there before launch. I was still working in my previous company. But I know that the launch in the UK was, a long time coming and been thought about for a while. And obviously launching in any new market is complex, particularly in the UK or in Europe, where there's kind of different data regulations to get around. So there's always been a strong intention to kind of launch into the UK. And the way that Tubi launches into any market is to do it in a considered way. So we don't kind of launch in multiple markets at once. Yeah. We do it kind of one by one. And we pick markets that we think we have a right to play in and to win in, really. So the UK absolutely fell into that category. And in terms of how it's going, like I said before, we're really, really pleased with the first 12 months and the growth that we're seeing, both in new users, returning users, viewing. And it was always the case that we were going to use the first year to really learn about what this market wants and what kind of content resonates, and we've absolutely done that.
And so when you say the UK is kind of ticking all of the boxes to be one of those markets that you guys invest in, and I agree, I feel like you've really done this kind of one market at a time, and there's the fact that you have to do that. I will say, when you're in an ad supported environment, there's more to take into account that perhaps if you were coming in with a pure SVOD move. But so what made that market appealing?
Well, obviously the kind of size of the market is appealing. It's one of if not the biggest kind of European markets, English speaking as well, which from a kind of we have services in Latin America, but other than that we tend to be in English speaking countries at the moment. But really it was just that we saw a streaming landscape in the UK, of course, very highly competitive, dominated by the big SVODs and global players, but also BVODs like ITV and BBC and Channel 4. So not an easy market to come into, but we felt that Tubi's proposition, which is about serving underserved audiences and targeting fandoms, would work in this market. What we're not trying to do is compete on a direct footing with, the BBC, for example. Yeah. We feel that what we bring and our content offering is something different and something that the UK didn't have. So we felt there was a gap there for us.
And what is that? So what was missing in your opinion, and how do you guys, fill in that gap? Can we talk, genres?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're all about free streaming for fandoms, really. And in the US, we've been established for a number of years, and there are quite a few kind of power fandoms and verticals that do really well. We're seeing the same thing in the UK. For example, the horror and thriller genre does really well for Tubi. There's a kind of huge catalogue of both of those genres on the service, and there are a lot of people that love that kind of stuff, and it's not that well served in other streamers. So that's a great example of the type of content that we see work really well on Tubi. We of course also see kind of action and drama and some some of the more typical wide-ranging genres work well for us too. But really, it's in some of those areas that feel a bit underserved by some of the mainstream streamers that Tubi can play in. And there's also the kind of vast range of library that we have. We have 40,000 movies and TV series now, which according to Ampere is the largest in the UK on a free
Yeah.
streamer. And that kind of breadth and depth of content means that whatever you're into, Tubi probably has quite a bit of that. And so we allow you to kind of go down that rabbit hole and really consume what you really love. So we're not the arbiters of taste, and we don't
Yeah.
kind of commission to kind of tell you what you should be watching. We'll have whatever that is you're into, we'll have for you, and we'll have plenty of it.
So you've actually doubled, because when you launched last year, I think you came in the market saying you had 20K titles. So you've grown that by two. Question for you: did you learn enough to actually add another, 20, or did you actually, take some of those initial 20, took something down, and then actually even had more refresh than that?
Yeah, so it was a bit of both. We've definitely learned a lot to now move into our kind of second year with a much more kind of intentionally curated, I suppose, content slate for the UK. So we are doubling down in areas that we know work, and we're pulling back maybe in some areas that haven't worked so well. But yeah, so we have that growth has a lot of its growth into areas that we know works for the UK, but also we're still only a year old, so we're not
Yeah.
going to pretend that we know everything and that we've finished our learning. So there are
Right.
a few other areas and a few other kind of genres that we want to play around with and see if those work in the UK. So we're kind of leaning into some that we're kind of experimenting with that we maybe didn't do in the first year. So it's a bit of a mix.
I have a library. Well, I do not, but let's say I have a library. I want to come pitch to you. What should I put in front of your desk, right? What is it that you're looking for right now the most in this approach where you're very careful, curated as to the genre that you're buying?
Well, firstly, we're looking for premium quality content. Tubi offers a premium quality streaming service and brand safe environment, so that's important to us. We would, across a whole wide range of genres, we'd be interested in content if it works for us and we think it's going to work for the audiences. I talked about horror and thriller, but also comedy, also drama, action, true crime. They're all areas that work well for us.
Okay.
And we also have a wide range of diaspora content, so
Yeah.
Bollywood, Nollywood. So really, there's not a kind of target genre, but they're saying don't come to us unless you fit in these genres. But premium content, well produced, we take a look through all of that really, and we make a call. And we have a great team in the US that helps us do that. And as well as assessing the UK, they're able to obviously assess market fit for other markets as well.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I wanted to ask you if you had built a team on acquisition, editorial, the marketing piece, anything you can share about how that team has grown? Because, like, I remember last year, the only person I knew had joined you guys was David Salmon, who's head of international. Then I saw you coming in, then Paul. But yeah, how big is the team locally?
The team is still small and perfectly formed, let's say, and we the kind of wider team that works on Tubi for the UK is bigger because we still lean on a lot of the excellent teams that we
Yeah,
have
for
in
sure.
the US for certain things. So we have local marketing support. So we have a marketing director and a head of B2B marketing that sit in the UK. We've got content operations that really help kind of bridge the gap between some of the content teams in the US and the services in the UK and other international services. I've got myself, obviously, and Paul Gubbins, who works on the commercial side. So those are the key kind of heads that we have in the UK.
Okay,
And then, like I say, we've got some dedicated resources that work on international markets and work on the UK that sit in the US and are part of our team.
nice. Can we talk about scale? So, of course, one of the things when you launched, you were on the web. I believe you had a mobile app. I should have read the article I did about you guys a year ago, and I think you were on a couple of CTV platforms. I've seen you, work to grow the footprint because, of course, like anything, you need to be as widely distributed as possible. And unlike maybe markets like the US, where maybe it's enough to be on a Roku and a Samsung, in the region you really need to be with Sky and Virgin Media. So what have you done? Where are you guys at right now? I think 18 platforms I read.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And which is an expansion from launch. we're on all the major CTV platforms, the kind of global platforms, and we're working on expanding that footprint into the UK specific ones. We've launched on TiVo and NetGem recently, and we are in conversations with others about kind of filling out that footprint further. You're right, it is something we want to do, and we'd like to make Tubi available to viewers in any platform they choose to watch their content.
And so, what can you share about, viewership, the scale? I know you guys at Tubi, you share like many big global numbers. So, I will ask, but I know what the answer will be. But what can you share about, monthly active users, streaming hours, etc.?
Yeah, I can share the global number with you, which you probably already
Yeah.
have. But we've recently announced in Cannes, we've just gone past the 100 million
Mhm.
monthly active user mark globally, and we have, I think it's we announced as well that we have a billion hours of streaming as well. So that is fantastic, and as you'd expect, a lot of that is driven from North America, and international markets certainly play their part. Also, what I can tell you, without giving you the exact numbers, is that we've grown really strongly in the first 12 months. So kind of from those early launch months, we've grown kind of 250% in our viewing, and month on month we see viewer base tick up while returning viewers go up,
Mhm.
which is really great to see. So we've got Tubi fans out there that keep coming back for more, and every month that number goes up. The other thing to say about our audience, they skew quite young. So over half of our viewers are Gen Z and millennials. 65% of our audience are under the age of 44. So I know that's a strong demographic for us. Which is great because they're typically hard to reach.
Yeah. And so, and how is that, right? Because of course, this is the product of to be in the US, but one might argue because so my co-host Evan Shapiro loves to say how us in Europe were just, old, so damn old. So you could have, come into the UK market and, appeal to all the demos, right? So what's in that secret recipe of yours, the brand, the content, the UX, the UI that is, making the service appealing to those younger demos?
I think it's a combination of all those things. I think the fact that we go after kind of fandoms, and we're kind of unopinionated on what people should like and should
Yeah.
watch, is really helpful. And so I think my the way that I kind of see it is the particularly younger audiences are viewing more and more to different kind of fandoms that they're into, and they kind of don't mind so much where they watch it. They just want to
Yeah.
get that content, and we serve that to them. So I do think we've got a strong content play for younger audiences. We talk about nostalgia, to be word for nostalgic content, and that cuts well with older audiences and younger audience. We've got a lot of that on the platform that older audience perspective, which unfortunately I now fall into.
Yeah.
I will
Me
be able to
too.
watch, yeah, I'll be able to watch shows that might be kind of, 10 years old or 15 years old,
Yeah.
or maybe even older. And I'll feel nostalgic about, the fact I used to watch them when I was younger. But then our younger audiences will be accessing those for the first time. As all of that works really well for us. So that the content offering in all our markets, but we see it in the UK too, does seem to resonate well with younger audiences. And then you mentioned the tech platform. Our tech platform is really amazing. When I joined, I was so pleasantly surprised by how high quality everything is, how everything just works. We're really friction free. We take you straight to the content, and the recommendations engine that we have is fantastic. We have teams of machine learning engineers that are kind of honing that day in, day out, and our ability to kind of surface that large catalog to
Yeah.
you in an individualized way really helps. So I think all of that combined is what's attractive to all of our audiences. We don't want to kind of keep older audiences out by any means, but it just so happens that we do have a younger skewing audience, which is really nice from a commercial perspective.
Honestly, you're the only ones with, in the US, I think you have like over 200K assets amongst films and TV series. I mean, that's insane. Like, there's so much content right now, and we're spending so much time looking. So I've never been able to use, Tubi except when I've been traveling to the US or the UK. And so I really wonder what's that secret recipe you're talking about regarding the recommendation, because given that paradox of choice that we're all going through, like this feels almost, out of sync with the market to have such a deep library.
Yeah, well, I think it is just the power of our platform and the recommendations engine that really works for us. And the other thing that I would say about the tech platform is that we're all about viewer engagement. Our kind of North Star is viewer engagement, and we'll do everything to make sure that we're giving viewers a fantastic experience and that they're finding the content that they want. And we'll test any new features or any new additions very, very tightly to make sure that we see increases in viewer engagement and certainly not drop-offs. And so that kind of relentless focus on the viewer and relentless focus on engagement allows us to kind of, I guess, use and access the power of that library for our viewers. So it's definitely a different kind of model, like you say, to other streamers. But that is another reason why we believe that Tubi has a right to play in this market, because we're not just following the same playbook as other streamers, and there's space for a Tubi proposition.
When I look at the genre breakdown, at least in the US, I think I had seen that you were much more focused on films than you were on series. Is that the case in the UK too?
Yes, I mean, focused in terms of just the size of the film library
Yeah,
is really impressive. I
this
think
is
we're
where
kind of
you, yeah.
we've got 10 times more films than kind of BVOD services, for example, in the UK. Well, actually might be even more now. I'd need to verify that, but we've got over 10,000 movies on the service in the UK. So we do lean heavily into movies, and our viewers love watching movies with us. So 70% of the viewing to Tubi is to movies. But we do also have strong like TV series catalogs too. So the remaining 30% is to those. So they're absolutely still important to us as well. But you're right in saying that Tubi has more movie viewing than perhaps some of the other streaming services
Yeah.
that lean more into TV series.
Yeah. So this week, and by the time this is released, I've done a bit of a breakdown on this report from the European Audiovisual Observatory, and they were looking at SVOD, right? And it is skewing, the viewership is skewing towards TV series. And
Yep.
it's fascinating because I would have thought that given that you are carrying ads, your audience would have been better off watching TV series than perhaps having an interrupted viewing experience.
Maybe, but we really have very low ad loads, and like I say, focused on the viewer engagement. It's
Mm,
the way that our ad experience works is really positive from a viewing perspective. Like I say, we don't sell a lot of ads. I think we're
yeah,
pretty industry leading in our low ad loads, and the way that our tech platform works is they insert those ads in spaces within the content that don't feel too jarring. So no, we don't see that as a big issue for us at Tubi.
okay,
It's the quality of the content and the depth and the fact that you can find so many movies on Tubi that you can't find anywhere else. So
yeah.
not only is it a good viewing experience, but we have a lot of stuff that others don't have. Within 90% of the titles that we have on platform are exclusive to Tubi. So yeah, that I think for those reasons, don't see that same trend that you outlined.
Mm. And so, how many minutes are we talking per hour? Is that standard?
Yeah, well, we do about between 4 and 6 minutes an
Yeah,
hour.
I didn't know.
Um,
Okay.
so which is lower than a few others, particularly pure free streaming services like we are. So yeah, and we keep that low, and we do it purposefully. And when we do look at changing our ad loads or our ad patterns, like I say, we test those to make sure that the viewer engagement remains at least the same, if not improves.
How were you welcomed by the agencies, the advertisers, right? Because we often hear that the pie is not getting bigger and there's just more people going after the same pie. How did you start telling that story with Paul Gubbins that I mentioned as if everyone knew Paul? He is very famous, but still, not everyone know Paul Gubbins. So he's your head of commercial, you said?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's director of sales and ad partnerships in the UK. And yes, you're right. He is quite famous. Walking around with him, it was like being with a celebrity. But yes, our the reaction has been good. I mean, obviously, it's difficult when you're coming into a new market. You've got a lot of work to do to kind of get in front of
Yeah.
agencies and advertisers to kind of let them know what you're all about. And by no means is that journey complete for us. We need to keep doing that, and it's very difficult to do within just a few months.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
but what does resonate is our audience and the fact that they're younger, they tend to be slightly harder to reach. We're serving them with content that they can't get on other streamers, so there's a kind of unique genre and content play there. So we've seen really positive reaction from agencies, and obviously the way that we monetize in the UK, given the size of our team, is that we haven't built our own direct sales team yet. So
Okay.
we partner. We're currently partnering with Comcast Advertising, who are kind of our primary sales partner route to market. And then we've also plugged in a whole bunch of SSPs who act as backfill partners for us. And again, they're doing a great job too in kind of helping fill some of the inventory that our primary partners don't need.
Nice. Okay, so we're mid 2025. What's coming up for you rest of the year 2026? What can you share? What's top of mind?
Um, well, we're going to, like I said before, we're going to keep tailoring the content proposition towards UK audiences. So you will
Yeah.
see more of that happen. We just announced some new content deals with some of the major studios, and some of the kind of content avails and selections that we've made with them will be reflecting what we know works. We're also working on a couple of interesting content partnerships that are kind of driven from the UK market, with the UK market in mind. And we can't announce those today, but they will be hopefully very soon announced. And once they are, you can kind of cross-reference back to this. So we're going to absolutely be focusing on that content proposition and that fit within the UK market. And it's also not going to be a kind of one-off thing that we're going to do now. We're going to keep iterating that every few months as we go through. We are going to be looking at further distribution, to your point. So we're in conversations with a few different platforms and potential partners to kind of bring Tubi to more viewers and more TV sets. And then brand awareness and marketing is another focus. It's where we had a great launch campaign, but we know we need to kind of double down again on all of that. And, we've got plenty of kind of low hanging fruit in terms of brand awareness. We are obviously not as well known in the UK market as we are in the US. That's normal given we're only a year old here and we're 10 plus years old in the US. But we're definitely going to be focusing in on that. So things like kind of social and influencer marketing strategy, and also kind of aligning ourselves around some kind of key content moments. We've got Sidelined 2, which is a movie we're really excited about coming to the platform
Okay, cool.
later this year. It's going to come to the platform at the same time as it does to the US. We had Sidelined 1, the QB and Me it was called, that was on the US service and the Canadian service. Came a bit too early for us in the UK because we'd only just launched, but it was a huge hit for us at Tubi, and a huge hit with that younger demo as well. And it's a story that was written on Wattpad. It stars Noah Beck, who's a huge TikTok star, and the kind of planets aligned, and his fans came to watch it, and also others came to watch it, and it was a really kind of top watch streaming show in the US and Canada when it launched. So we're excited to get both the first one coming to the UK in time for the second one as well. So we'll be getting behind that in the UK and using that kind of content moment to, drive awareness and more viewers into the platform.
Speaking of creators, you guys announced creating a to-be creator studio of some sort. I can't remember the name. You'll correct me on that. Would that make sense for international markets to be in on this? Because it seems that it's very much driven from the US, and of course, this is where most of the viewership is today. But there's a very, except for some creators that are very global, it's still very much local plays that you guys could be making. Will you be considered? Will the UK be considered?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. And this is, you're right that obviously the US market is our largest market. So, they're clearly working on the creator program in the US. But one of the conversations I had this week with Rich Bloom, who's coming to lead that function for us at Tubi, was how can we use this in the UK? And I'm really excited, and he's really excited about the opportunities to do things in the UK with Creator. So the short answer is yes, and we're working through exactly what that means, but we're already in conversations with some really exciting UK creators, some of which we think could cross quite nicely over the pond as well. So where we're able to do it in a kind of synergistic way, all the better. But we'll absolutely be looking at Creator in the UK for sure.
Okay, and this one question is for a lot of my fast community. They will want to know: is fast on the horizon on Tubi UK?
Again, never say never on this one. We haven't got anything to announce today, but
Okay.
it's something that we're obviously considering and thinking about. As you know, we have fast channels in our other markets. So from a technology perspective, it's definitely possible for us to do it in the UK. We use the same tech stack. So really, it's just about timing and working out whether it's the right fit for us. So watch this space, and maybe some announcements in the future, but nothing for today, I'm afraid.
Okay, you'll pick up your phone, you'll call me, then I can break the news,
You'll
right? If
be,
there's
yeah,
anything.
you'll be the first to know.
Nice. Okay, let me send that my direct line right away to make sure you do that. Well, Ross, thank you so much. Let's check back in a year's time. Uh, you're going to be at MIPCOM, I'm sure.
Yeah, I haven't checked my diary yet. I imagine I'll be there. Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for your time, and yeah, see you next time.
Yeah, thanks, Marion. It's been a pleasure. Great speaking to you.